Day one of my song a day challenge was a doozy. I don't like spending 3 or 4 hours on a project. So today I'm changing my approach. There are many different ways to write songs. I've tried a lot of them, and some are easier than others for me. Easy doesn't mean they necessarily result in great songs, but sometimes the point is just to get a song, and that is the point today. So what I've done on the drive back from the grocery store is come up with a melodic idea with some lyrics attached to it, and going like one line at a time, one rhyme at a time, one melody at a time. I constructed a verse, a chorus, and then another verse. For now, this is what I'm working with.
I wasted my time, wasted the buzz, wasted the vibe, waiting for you to apologize.
Okay, so I've been working so hard. This is a lyric sheet for my my song for May 2nd, Easy to Break. It's got 3 verses. It's kind of got like instead of a verse-chorus structure, I would really call it a verse-refrain structure. I sat down here with my old telly and worked out the chords. And I think I know how this goes, so I'm just going to try to perform it for you. And if that performance goes well enough, I'm going to call this song done. Let's see how it goes.
I wasted our time, wasted the buzz, wasted the vibe, waiting for you to apologize for some made-up crime, for breaking a promise you didn't make, for failing to smile when I would have faked. That was your first mistake. Don't bend, easy to break. Ooh, easy to break. Oh, easy to break. Oh, easy to break. Oh, you throw a smile and I see darts in your eyes. They're nerve, but it's a bullseye every time. I'm tough as a tin foil tank. You're safe as a failing bank. I dish it, but I can't take. Don't bend, easy to break. Oh, easy to break. Oh, easy to break. Oh, easy to break. Oh. You shut the door, unzip your dress, and close the blinds. Wait a minute. Shit! You shut the door, unzip your dress, and close the blinds. But I'm still a coffin lid that's closed tight. I'm tough as a tin foil tank. You're safe as a failing bank. I dish it, but I can't take. Don't bend, easy to break. Ooh, easy to break. Ooh, easy to break.
except for that bit at the start of the third verse, I think that went pretty well. And that's a wrap. That's a song. That's really all it takes. I even had some some zestful playing there, some overdrive and stuff on the outro. That makes it feel like a climax, right? Well, whether you agree with that or not, I'm happy with the song that I've created for the date of May 2nd. Look for the next video tomorrow on May 3rd for that day's song. Thanks for sticking with me. See you around. Hang on, that doesn't feel like a very satisfying ending. I feel like I'm supposed to tell you something about the process that I experienced today. Otherwise, you're just like watching me write a song. So here's what I'm gonna say. I think I mentioned this earlier in the video. I can't remember what I shot earlier today, but this is probably my favorite way to write a song. It's certainly the easiest way, and that is to just kind of work one line of vocal melody at a time, melody and lyrics at the same time, and just like one line at a time in voice memos. I find that really helpful for a couple of reasons. One is sort of a variation on like melody is king. I do think that if you have a strong melody, it solves a lot of problems you might otherwise have with your song. The second though, the thing is you can just like riff melodies anytime. That's in fact what I did to start my song yesterday on May 1st. I just was coming up with melodies, but without a clear lyrical idea. The difference in this approach is taking it piecemeal, like one line at a time, where you don't track it. You don't record your idea until it has words that go with that idea. That takes practice to do, but it's something that eventually became pretty natural for me, and I think is really, really great for helping me get into the zone, sort of, and focus on what is the, I don't know, like the emotional energy that I'm trying to convey with this melody and lyric pairing. And if I can really immerse myself in that, I feel like it just makes it easier to write more words that are consistent with that resonate with that. That's not to say that they're the best words. It's just to say that it's a lot easier to kind of make it fit into the vibe that I'm going for than it is if I like write a verse and a melody and then set those lyrics aside for like 6 weeks and then try to pick it up again. Sometimes I at least struggle to get back into the mindset that I was in when I wrote those ideas and then write in the same voice and attitude and like persona that is being expressed in those lyrics. The other thing that I want to point out, I guess, from this set of lyrics is really 2 more points. Sorry. The first is that I think this whole song basically happened because of the very first verse, where I used the phrases wasted the buzz, wasted the vibe. I'm about to be 35 years old this year. And I acknowledge, I think I just said vibe again in this video separately, but it's because I just sang it in these lyrics. I don't talk like that. I'm not The Weeknd. Like, I don't care much about wasting the buzz and wasting the vibe. But something about like I have cared about it from time to time in my life, and something about using those words that kind of feel like they wouldn't come out of my mouth. It was inspiring. It's a little bit like the kind of like character playing that you see other more famous songwriters inhabit, and that I think is a tool that a lot of writers use. Sometimes you don't have to pretend that you're like the Thin White Duke. You can just start to use words that you would never say, or to sing lines that you would never sing. And that can be enough to kind of push you in a direction, give you some momentum that then you can, just continue along until you're done with the song. And then the last point I want to make, I definitely mentioned this before, is that this song doesn't really have what I think of as a typical modern chorus. I just repeat the phrase easy to break and then kind of moan a melody along with it. But I think that's fine, I think one of the great like lost art forms in modern pop songwriting is just like the refrain, or like the tag or the punchline that you put at the end of a verse that it's like one line, maybe 2 lines that just wraps up the idea. And then you kind of maybe have a little musical motif and then move on to the next verse. It's a more verse-oriented style of writing. And I think the punchline kind of hits a little bit harder sometimes when you're not drawing that idea out into a piece of music that is probably as long as, if not longer than, your actual verse was. That's, to me, the typical like modern pop songwriting approach, is that your verse is kind of like an afterthought compared to your chorus, including in its length. I like this approach. And one thing that I really like about it is that I think that songs that are kind of verse-refrain, like have a shorter refrain or something that doesn't try to force so much information and hook at you when you're kind of in the chorusy stage, I think those songs move faster. Like, my sense of them is that they pass more quickly. And when they're over, I'm like, oh, that was cool. I might want to listen to that again. And that experience of wanting to like play back something that I just heard is what characterizes all of the music I've really loved in my entire life. I'm not meaning to suggest that any of you are going to feel that way about that song. But I definitely don't feel that way when I've been listening to a 4.5 or 5 minute pop song, 3 minutes of which was the same like 18 words repeated over and over again. By the end of that song, I'm like, get this away from me. I never want to hear it again. If I hear it again, I can sing along, sure, but it's worn out, it's welcome. I think little refrains like this don't, and if that's not something you use in your writing, you should maybe try it. Okay, those were takeaways from this process. The main takeaway was the song, right? Easy to break. Song number 2 of the month of May. Thank you again. I'll see you around.